You know, it's an interesting thing. I remember watching that show a number of times and kind of being like, wow, what is mine? It's a word. It's the word vespers.
Vespers.
Yes, which is I think it's a time during it might be a time during a mass in church. It's a kind of a religious. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I think it's like a time during a mass or something like that. But it's just got this wonderful little kind of mysterious quality to the word that I just love. That's one of them.
That's a great answer. But then that brings us on to the next question. What is your least favorite word?
Trump. Will that work?
Sorry, that caught me off guard.
Yeah.
A good answer, though.
Yeah.
Question number 3. What excites you creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Oh gosh, I've always been drawn to people, artists in particular, who have their own vision and are extraordinarily unique. And you know, you look through filmmaking, music, literature, all through the years, and I've always been so fascinated by people who can come up with this unique way of seeing the world and such a unique way of doing their art. You know, for me, and she's very big in the UK. Kate Bush is one of my favorite artists of all time, and that's one where you're like, where did that come from? You know, sometimes you look at artists and you think, oh well, I can see their influences and whatever, but then you look at someone like that and you're just like, it's just this magical creature, like, you know.
She is quite nebulous. You're actually you can't look at that and go, clearly inspired by X, Y, or Z.
No, she's just this incredible, you know, and people like Kate or Bowie or Prince or filmmakers for me like David Lynch or anyone that kind of has this really unique take on their art and on the world, and that's really inspiring to me, yeah.
And what would you say turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Cynicism. Been there, done that. Kind of, you know, looking at things like, you know, I've seen it all. Well, you haven't, you know. And I think kind of willful ignorance, you know. It's just like, be curious about the world, you know, and there's no excuse to kind of stop growing as a human being, you know. I mean, you just have to kind of, there's so much out there to learn, you know, and that's one of the great things in life, I think, is to experience, and when you kind of cut yourself off from that, you're cutting yourself off from the reason you're here, I think, in a way.
That's true. You do strike me as quite a positive person. So
thank you.
It really
sometimes.
I'm sure we will go through it, but it does make sense that cynicism would be the sort of thing that just makes you just not want to engage with something.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there are moments, by the way, when I can be very cynical myself, but I think in general to have that as kind of your starting point every day is you know, because if you look at the political situation, there's a lot of reasons to be cynical, but that can also prompt you to be not that and to be proactive and, you know, positive.
Question number 5. What is your favorite curse word? Now, there might be younger people in the audience, so we may have to imply what the word is without saying.
Gosh, you know, I love them all. Really, I don't have a favorite. Is that a cop-out? I don't know.
I think that's fine.
Motherfucker. I don't know. Well, and you can quote me. So we'll go with that.
It's really, I'm not going to ask you to, it's really bad that I want to hear that in the voice of McCoy. I'm not going to ask you to do that, don't worry.
No, I won't. No.
Question number 6. What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, gosh. Cathedral bells. I love old church bells. It's strange that I said Vespers earlier, whatever.
There's a religious subtext.
Yeah. But that's one of them. I love cathedral bells. I love wind during a windstorm. Kind of we have a lot of birds near the house where I'm living, and it's always great when spring comes and like there's like tons of birds around. So any kind of nature sounds, I love that kind of thing as well too.
It is interesting that you brought up church bells, because I'd actually say that even for people who aren't religious, churches, there's always something very mystic about them.
Yeah, they are.
I like going, if I'm ever in Europe, there's all shit on the churches. And I really like going into them. And the beautiful architecture, hearing the bells in every different country and in their own unique appeal, like those are always amazing.
It's for me, it's the closest thing that man has made to nature. I think there is this kind of essentially beautiful quality to them that goes beyond just the religious connotations. That's why I'm like, I don't like religious art. I'm like, you might not be religious, and that's fine, whatever. But the art is incredibly beautiful, and it's mysterious, and it's hundreds of years old, and it
makes it all the more impressive.
Of course, yeah.
So on the flip side of that, question number 7: what sound or noise do you hate?
A sound or noise that I hate. Gosh, that's interesting. Maybe probably like jackhammering, because I lived in New York City for a long time, and if you'd wake up in the morning and they'd be starting work on the street afterward, like at like 7 in the morning. So that's just irritating. I'm sure there are other things that I
that's headache inducing.
But that's
that sound,
yeah. So maybe that's it.
For me, it's always been that sound of polystyrene packing. That's it.
Oh yeah.
There's something about the way it squeaks. I can go through my bones.
Yeah.
Question number 8, and this is one that I'm sure a lot of people will have asked you over time. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt? We can maybe take skill out of it. So even if something you aren't capable of it, what would you love to do?
Well, I love writing. So I would love to write. Music, interestingly enough, I grew up, I was very musical. What's odd is my family, none of us played musical instruments, but we all sang, and we just had a natural ability to sing. And so when we would sing happy birthday, if one of us had birthdays, because I come from a family of 5, we would kind of spontaneously burst into like 4-part harmony. It was just, so I have this kind of musical ear, and so I've often thought, I probably should have done a lot more with music. And outside of the arts, I probably would have, psychology is really interesting to me, which of course is connected in a way to being an actor too, kind of, an interest and a curiosity about being human,
Do you play any instruments?
I'm just learning how to play guitar. I just started learning like 2 years ago.
How's that going?
It's great. I love it. And I have a really good teacher in the town where I live in the States, and it's been really fun because, again, I think I probably should have learned an instrument a while ago because I have a very, very musical ear. And so it's something that I probably should have started doing years ago, but didn't. So I'm glad I started because I figured you're never too late. So yeah, it's been really fun to learn that. And I want to start learning piano now too.
What's your favorite song you can play on guitar?
Oh, my favorite song that I play on guitar. I'm starting to learn how to play a Jeff Buckley song called "Lover You Should Have Come Over." Do you know Jeff Buckley?
I do. He did a very famous cover of Hallelujah.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And there's a song off of, I was going to say his first album. It's the only album that he actually released before he passed away, but called "Lover You Should Have Come Over," and I'm learning how to play that, which is a little more challenging than some of the easy songs you learn to play when you're first learning. So that's my kind of challenging thing to play, is that one, yeah.
Exciting. The penultimate question we have on the Pivot questionnaire: what profession would you under no circumstances like to do?
Stockbroker.
Really?
Anything having to do with like high finance. I mean, have you watched Succession? Good God. It's just a nightmare. I sit there and I sit there with my husband and I'm just like, aren't you so glad that we're not in this kind of world? It's just, oh my God, it looks so depressing and horrible. It's like a nightmare. Anything having to do with like big business, finance, where it's just about crushing people. I'm just like, it's okay. You be that. You do that.
I do agree, because I've grown up in a family where my dad worked in finance and now my brother works in finance.
I apologize. I'm
sorry. No, because I basically went, I will kill people if I do this job, and so I want to be liberated,
it inspires you to kind of go this way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting to see how people tend to go, I under no circumstances want to be in banking or something. You know?
Yeah, it's just, and it's also just completely not my DNA at all. Yeah.
You're more creative than
Yeah, I think so.
So the final question on here, and by the way, once this question's over, we will welcome you guys down. So actually, if you want to start making your way down to the microphones, if you have any questions for Ted regarding Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, voice acting in general, please do make your way down to them. We're going to come to you in just a moment. But the last question on this is, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You were always good enough.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a very good answer.
Yeah.
Very wholesome answer.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's just all you want to hear, really, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think everyone struggles with that. Of, oh, I'm not good enough, or, I should, no, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not as good as that person, or whatever. And to kind of hear that and go, oh, okay, I guess I was, it'd be nice, so.
I think that's a really lovely answer, Ted, and a great way of wrapping up this questionnaire. I hope that was, I don't know, have you ever had to go through that questionnaire?
No, it was fun. It was
excellent.
Fun.
That's what I like to hear.
Really, yeah.
Like I said, because I'm sure there's a lot of these questions regarding these that you've had time after time, and I wanted to try and throw something a bit different in, but we still got to learn a bit about Ted Lewis.
Yes, I appreciated that. It was fun.
Now, it is time for us to